First, let's talk about what my design patterns were, how they were made, and for what reasons. So here I proposed the simulation where there are different kind of aliens ships here, and then there are different kind of planets that have different kind of resources that the aliens want. So planets generate different amounts of resources each by each time some amount of time passes, and they have a total capacity of this energy. So, and they also have a radio of conversion for the ships to actually be able to use each one of these materials that they get from the planets. Then the ships are also three different kinds of ships. These are basically the same classes, the same interface inherited in three different ways, so that they can have different values, and so they have different capacities for carrying fuel once they have extracted it. They have different uh, preferences. They will have different preferences on what they actually want to uh, use. For example, the Imperials actually prefer to steal from others instead of getting it from the planets. And they have a trip time, which means how long it takes for the ships to get reinforcements from their different races. So this is the demonstration of my factory. Um, so to explain this, here I have an interface of a planet which has different methods, and it is implemented in two different types of planets at this moment. So we have this planet and this planet here. So some of the difference we have are color, the scale, some mathematical calculations that we're gonna use further ahead with each planet, like how much cell to fuel relation, when was the last time that each planet generated more resources, and some overrides of the functions that are unique to each to each planet. So right now we have two different planets. On this side we can see them, and on the left side we can see the factory, which currently has two options, which are Iridium and Arconium, the planets that we currently have. So if we load our project right now, even though here we have the green balls represent one of the planets types, and then the blue balls represent the other type of planet that we currently have. So now we're going to add a different third type of planet, which is going to be red in color and of a different scale, and will be also in the, not in the visual part, but in the mathematical part, will have different properties again. So I now added a new class here that includes just a different kind of planet with its own overrides of the functions that every planet is using to get its properties and to calculate some things like subtract material, generating materials, and a personalized destroyer, which I'm implementing at the moment. And so here in our factory, I just added this bit of code so that it knows that this new type of planet exists, and this line here to include the header of the planet. So now that we build, we're going to see that only the factory is being built, in the project. And now when we run it, we're going to see three different types of planets, which actually hold different things. Each one of them has different properties because their creators are different, and they are also being generated in my OpenGL graphics project. Now we're going to talk about the builder part of my design. So here we have a different factory. This is an alien factory. In this simulation, there are three different kinds of aliens, which are the Leaves, the Hunters, and the Imperials. Very similar to what we had with the planets. Each of them are of a different kind, and this is the abstract factory, where each alien is created. As we're going to see in a moment, the aliens are cubes in this case, and they are also of different sizes depending on what type they are, and the different colors depending on what type they are. But then the important part here is that this other section right here is a builder. So why did we need a builder? Okay, so the ships go to the planets to get minerals because they need those minerals to stay in space, and they need those minerals to keep their life sustenance equipment working. So they need to go from planet to planet getting these resources. So they need extractors. Leaves are the smallest kind of alien. So they have a mini extractor, which is from the class extractor, which I'm going to show in a second. Then the hunters have two normal extractors in their ships, but then the Imperials are the largest ships in our world, and they have a very special kind of extractor called a decimator. So these extractors are a different class of their own. Here is the header file. The extractor basically extracts minerals and has a speed for extracting these minerals, which is obviously faster than the speed at which the ships by themselves were able to extract the minerals. So these extractors are like someone like a plus, so that the ships can extract more and faster, and they have their own cell capacity and current amount of energy in their reserves. So here are the implementation of some of the code, like the speed, the size, how much minerals they are extracting, and speed that multiplies the speed at which these extractors extract the minerals. And so back in our main, we can see here that when we run the program, we can take a look at some of our inner variables just to make sure that inside the world there are aliens, and that these aliens effectively contain a class structure of their own, which has its own details. So let's take a look at other ships. So this is a hunter ship, and this one has two normal structures here. Then this is an imperial ship, and it has just one large extractor here. So that's our builder working, and as we can see, the cubes in my scene, the red cubes, green cubes, and blue cubes are the different kinds of alien ships represented visually. All of these are generated randomly in the scene, in random positions inside the scene. So let's talk about now about the world, which is a singleton that contains the state of our simulation. So here in the world, For starters, the world, as you can see inside the private section, we have the world creator and a static variable creator that makes it a singleton. So apart from that, why is the world a singleton? Well, the world contains the planets inside our world and the aliens that exist inside our world, and it can essentially generate new aliens and planets inside the world. It also knows which which objects are being rendered in the graphical scene, and uh, it can add new planets and new aliens to the scene. So we don't want to have more than one of these, because if we had more than one of these, then probably we would have different planets with aliens that go to those planets and that do not interact with each other, since they do not exist in the same plane. So here we can see that the world populates the scene, and also populates the vectors of our scene, and these are actually part of the factories that I showed earlier. This builds the alien ships, and this builds the planet ships. And so as we can see, we already have here the static definition of the world. And here in the main, as we can see, there is a pointer to the world. So anyway, if we wanted to get another one, as we saw in class, we'd only get the same pointer again. So as we can see here, now that the breakpoint has toggled, the first world has a pointer to the world, while the second one doesn't. So here we have a pointer to the one and only world, and the next one doesn't instantiate another different world.